The Vibe Alive
Thoughts,
Music
views,
Group
and
presents.
comments expressed by the hosts, guests, and callers on Beyond the Headlines are not necessarily those of management, ownership, or production unit of the Verizon Media Group. Beyond the Headlines is a production of ILTV Studios and cannot be reproduced or represented in part or entirety without express written permission of the Verizon Media Group. Beyond the Headlines is the intellectual property of the Verizon Media Group. Copyright 2021.
Not letting up, Prime Minister Davis in Grand Bahama tonight to drive home the government's position on the arbitration ruling last week. Also tonight, a 37-year-old man posing as a model scout only to sexually assault two teenage girls. And a video of a dog being shot by a prison officer viral this weekend, with many people expressing varying views on the issue. And so what were your thoughts when you saw the video? Hold that right there. We'll get to it a little bit later tonight. This is Beyond the Headlines. Good evening. I'm Shanique Miller. It's great to have you along this evening. Well, Prime Minister Davis is in the nation's second city tonight. He's there hoping to clear the air regarding the arbitration ruling between the Grand Bahama Port Authority and the government. The Grand Bahama Port Authority has pushed back against the government's claim to victory in this case, suggesting that the ruling has not shifted or adjusted the existing regulations. Jose Etienne is in Grand Bahama this evening. I am hoping that we have him queued up and ready to go. Jose, this issue has gotten a lot of attention from people in Grand Bahama and outside Grand Bahama. To get him as we move on this evening, but we will start right there and discuss that issue. Before we do, in fact, Opposition Leader Michael Pintard says an F&M administration would enforce a review provision of the Hawksbill Creek Agreement. Pintard says if the government is spending more money in Grand Bahama than is being collected, and if the law makes provision for us to collect the difference, Pintard says an F&M government will be interested on behalf of the Bahamian people in getting that money in the public purse and going towards the treasury, no doubt. And so we're going to start right there this evening. Welcome to Beyond the Headlines, Ellington Ferguson. Ellington, good evening to you, Beyond the Headlines contributor. It's good to have you here. A lot going on with that Grand Bahama Port Authority. Well, actually, the arbitration ruling involving the government and the Grand Bahama Port Authority, and not letting up this evening. That town meeting is happening as we speak in Grand Bahama.
It's a very interesting turn of events. Good evening, Shanique, and good evening, Bahamas. Certainly, it's a pleasure to be here once again to lend my voice to the issues that concerning our country. This is a very, very serious issue. This is a very heavy weight that the Prime Minister is taking up, and I must commend him on taking this up and dealing with this. It's been many years that there's been this back and forth with the port as to what the port authority is, what their powers are. And we've been talking about whether the port is still relevant, whether it is still good for Grand Bahama. Is the port in this stage of its life in the best interests of Freeport and Grand Bahama at large? And so I must commend the Prime Minister for taking this up and to deal with this issue. A lot of people look at this from the standpoint that he lost going after the
357 million.
Exactly. And
old taxes,
right?
Yes.
And a lot of people missed the Grand Bahamas Port ruling, which did not outrightly state that the government is not owed this money, but apparently is some things the government get to do to assert as to the breakdown of how this money is owed. So this isn't over yet, and so Prime Minister Davis is doing a commendable job in going and getting this sorted out. You remember we had the issue, I think it was last year or year before, when they had the wrangling about who controls the power in Grand Bahama, whether IRCA had any authority. Well, obviously you saw the arbitration sort that out. And so yes, we cannot have, while there are certain agreements as it relates to the Hawksbill Creek Agreement, we cannot have two governments in one country. And so this must be sorted out. All of the agreement, everything must be laid out clear. and there must be no gray areas going forward from this. And I hope that this brings out a lot of things, that the port will now have a clearer understanding of how far its authority go, and the government will have a more clear authority as to know what they can and cannot do.
Well, by anyone's guess and measure, there needs to be some sort of revisiting to the table and a modernization, a shifting of what the might and power and authority of the Grand Bahama Port Authority is.
Absolutely. And so my thing is, even though this body was given some authority to develop, I think that must never come to a point where to say that we can develop or we can run this in the absence of the government overlooking or having any hand in it. That is still a city that is in the Bahamas. Yes, you have been given your mandate or your agreement to develop that city, but it cannot be done independently and on the outside of the government of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas.
What do you suppose this meeting, I mean, the Prime Minister is tripling down on this. I wouldn't even say doubling down, because initially there was a news conference. This is last week. Later that evening, there was a live national address. The following morning, there was an address in the House of Assembly. And now this evening, the Prime Minister trekked to Grand Bahama to be a part of a town meeting that was planned, apparently, to be a part of that, to speak directly to the people of Freeport, Grand Bahama about this deal. Why do you suppose that he is ensuring that there's no misunderstandings and that the people must understand exactly what this is? In fact, we have Jose right now this evening. Jose is live in that town hall meeting. Good evening to you, Jose.
Report from the tribunal and then deal with 2 points.
Well, Shanique, I'm here live at the Belinda Wilson Convention Center here in Grand Bahama, where there's a town hall meeting that's currently underway. It's being called Clearing the Air as it relates to a recent arbitration process that culminated just last week. The outcome was revealed sometime last week, pretty much a week ago. And a week later, we see the Prime Minister, Philip Davis, along with sitting government officials and opposition leaders here in Grand Bahama, pretty much scrutinizing the outcome of this arbitration process. Now, Shanique, since last week, since it was revealed, we know that both parties pretty much rushed to intimate what the outcome of the arbitration process was. In some cases, Shanique, it's not really that easy to say who emerged the victor versus who emerged the loser, so to speak, right? Because the reality is, Shanique, the independent arbitrators handed disappointments and disappointing outcomes to both parties. For example, we see that the Davis administration pretty much lost its bid trying to sue the Grand Bahama Port Authority of some $357 million in reimbursements. But aside from that, liability has been established, and so that's a win for the Davis administration, whereas for the GBPA, they pretty much were able to succeed in their accusation against the Davis administration of sluggish action on environmental bylaws. And so, again, Shanique, we're talking about a situation where, both the GBPA has footing in this case, in this legal wrangling, whereas the Davis administration also has some sort of ground. But again, let's bring it back to the room. We're talking about a room that's packed to capacity. We have a number of officials in here, a number of Grand Baymans. Shanique, based on how I'm looking throughout the room, a number of individuals flew from the Capitol here to be a part of this town hall meeting that we're experiencing right now. Shanique, from the onset, I can tell you that a number of legal minds have taken their seats on the panel, along with Prime Minister Philip Davis. We do expect for Prime Minister Philip Davis to pretty much weigh in on the discussion. Of course, he's been the one who's been quite vocal about this arbitration process to reporters in side interviews in Parliament during that presentation last week. And he pretty much dubbed it a historic win. He and the Attorney General, Ryan Pinder, they both pretty much called it a historic win. Again, notwithstanding government losing its bid to get some $357 million from the GBPA, the Prime Minister maintained that liability has been established for the Grand Bahama Port Authority. And so, again, you could hear loud cheers in the background based on what's being talked about here, on the panel. Again, you have some legal minds pretty much scrutinizing the outcome of it. Prime Minister, we do expect for him to give his opinion on it. And we do expect at any given moment, well, shortly after the panel is done, we do expect for the opposition leader, Michael Pintard, to give his presentation on tonight's town hall meeting. But Shanique, I'm going to be standing by. We're going to try to wrap it up because they are pretty much in the thick of things as it relates to their presentation. And I don't want to be a nuisance to what's happening here. So I'm going to wrap it up now. But stay tuned for more details. For now, I'm going to send it back to you, Shanique.
Jose, thank you so much. Excellent sort of surmising of everything that's happening there. And that, Ellington, it's very interesting. It's at a neutral place. Jose says the room is packed. How do you suppose that reflects on just where the people of Grand Bahama, Freeport, where they are? The fact that they're going to take a Monday night and not be watching beyond the headlines, but take a Monday night and show up to the Belinda Wilson Center in Grand Bahama to hear from Prime Minister Davis and any other number of legal minds about what this arbitration means. And as you heard, it's being dubbed clearing the air.
Absolutely. Shanique, the people of Grand Bahama want their lives to be normalized. The people of Grand Bahama want to be able to thrive in their community like they once were. I think.
Well, then, if they once were, you would say, well, stick with the Port Authority. In the original framework that it presented itself initially.
Prime Minister Davis, in his response to the port when they threw that statement at him in the media, Prime Minister Davis said this. He said that the port once thrived under the original family of Sir Jack Hayford and Edward St. George. There was a time when Grand Bahama thrived. But obviously, those that are in charge now doesn't have the drive, doesn't have the willpower, or is not interested in driving and pushing Grand Bahama forward. I saw a clip by the attorney Fred Smith, and he's talking about how things have been falling apart. These people are not living up.
Fred Smith, one of Grand Bahama's noted
attorney.
residents.
He talked about how Grand Bahama has been falling apart, how they're not living up to their agreement. All of the infrastructure is falling apart, and government can no longer sit idly by and allow Freeport to deteriorate, and the people of Freeport that you saw in that room to continue to punish under this lackadaisical attitude. Freeport can do better. Freeport have been better. And so this is what you see. That's what you see in that room.
Certainly.
Grand Bahama people want to move Freeport forward.
Yes.
It's about the advancement and the development of that
Of Freeport.
city
It isn't about
consequently Grand Bahama.
It isn't about flexing muscles.
Absolutely.
It isn't about who won and who lost. I feel, based on the turnout this evening at the Belinda Wilson Center, that it's about moving Freeport forward. And I don't think that the people of Freeport or Grand Bahama want necessarily the Grand Bahama Port Authority totally out the picture. They just want different terms of agreement.
They want different terms of agreement and something that works in the best interest of Freeport.
Absolutely. This is Beyond the Headlines. We are just getting started tonight. When we come back, that 37-year-old acting as a model scout. I wonder, offering jobs where? Well, he did the unthinkable. We'll tell you more about that right after this break. Stay close.
Hey, it's your boy Charlie Bahama here at Superwash, Superwash's newest spokesmodel. And I'm here to tell you about Superwash's large capacity washers and dryers for all your big loads.
I know I see that Charlie Banana coming here just now.
Luckily it's also big enough for me to hide it.
I thought he was right over here where these large capacity washer and dryers is. They're big enough now to handle your big loads, you know. Yeah, like your comfort on your blanket. But just look at us. Somebody forget to turn on the dryer. Oh, stop! Help! You hear something? Yeah, that's the sound of clean. Superwash washes you, processes you, and entertains you 24/7.
In a world of imagination, even a little mess can be part of the adventure. But for a truly royal snack, we need a clean slate. A few drops of Penal dish liquid makes even dried-on paint disappear like magic. Penal dish liquid, powerful cleaning in 3 fresh scents.
The Fox Foundation proudly presents the keynote speaker for the 3rd Annual Women's Entrepreneurship Initiative, this March 19th at 7 p.m. at the beautiful Baha Mar Resort. Get ready to be inspired by Randy Zuckerberg, tech innovator and the creator of Facebook Live. She revolutionized real-time digital engagement, empowering individuals and brands to broadcast instantly to global audiences. And now she brings that innovation and insight to the Fox Foundation's 3rd Annual Women's Entrepreneurship Initiative, March 19th at 7 p.m. at the Baha Mar Resort. Under this year's theme, Give to Gain, join us for a night designed to inspire growth, spark opportunity, and strengthen the future of women in business.
Play for fun, not for funds.
In the Bahamas, we play hard, but we live smart.
We love a little competition.
A little excitement, a little thrill.
And at Idle Luck, gaming is all about entertainment.
Shared moments, celebrating the wins, and enjoying the experience.
The key is simple. Play for fun, not for funds. When you set a budget before you start,
and know your limits, you stay in control.
And when you're in control, the game stays what it's meant to be.
Fun. So play for fun, not for funds.
Must be 18 and over. Island Luck reminds you that it's only a game, so please game responsibly.
103.5 is turning 8 years old. 103.5 The Beat and Keep the Vibe Alive Music Group presents The Beat Fest. It's a Bahamian musical experience on March 14th at The Pond. Doors open 7 p.m. sharp. Performing live, Shine, Stevie S, Mama D, Veronica Bishop, Funky D, all backed up by The Pond Band. Hosted by Joe Cools, 1K Gaza, and Jess Mo. Music by 103.5 The Beat DJ. Tickets available now at all Beauty Shack locations. General admission, 30. VIP, 75. Get your tickets early. Spots are limited. Sponsored by Mazzari International, The Plug, and The Beauty Shack. And of course, 103.5 The Beat.
Hey, it's your boy Charlie
This
Bahama
segment
here.
is brought to you
Superwash.
by EV Motors Fleet Sales Division. For 2026 commercial vehicles, call 821-2403 today.
Welcome back to Beyond the Headlines. It's great to have you all tuned in this Monday evening. You know, just before the break, we went live to Grand Bahama at that Clearing the Air town hall meeting that's happening at the Belinda Wilson Center. You know, Ellington, you didn't have an opportunity to respond to opposition leader Michael Pintard. Now, tonight, Pintard is saying an F&M administration will re-examine that Hawksbill Creek agreement, I guess with the view of making things more favorable to the government in collecting the monies owed, and I imagine among a number of other things.
It's a very strong statement coming from the leader of the opposition. And again, I must commend him on that statement. It's a kind of a shift from his previous position, but obviously he's stating clearly and he's making it known that the government of the Bahamas will be continuous, and if there is something that is due to the Bahamian people, that he, Michael Pintard, will continue to pursue that should there be a change of government. So I think it's a very good thing. I appreciate his shift on his stance on that, because it wasn't quite like that a few weeks or months ago.
No, last week.
But that is very appreciable. And I think it's the right move, it's the right thing to do for the government on behalf of the Bahamian people.
Absolutely. Meanwhile, Ellington, a 37-year-old man, is tonight accused of posing as a model scout to prey on teenage girls. He has been remanded to prison after appearing in court on multiple serious charges. Jamal Daniels of Farrington Road is accused of raping a 16-year-old girl and having unlawful sexual intercourse with a 15-year-old on consecutive days in February. Prosecutors allege the 16-year-old was assaulted on February 23rd, while the 15-year-old was assaulted the following day. Daniels appeared before Abigail Farrington, where he was denied bail. He was not required to enter a plea to the rape charge, but pled not guilty to the unlawful sexual intercourse charge and elected to be tried before the magistrate. He also pled not guilty to possession of forged documents after police allegedly found him with a forged NIB card and driver's license when he was arrested March 1st. All matters were adjourned to June 10th. Court records show that Daniels previously served 6 years and 1 month in prison in 2021 after pleading guilty to 4 counts of unlawful sexual intercourse involving girls he allegedly lured to his home after meeting them on Facebook. Here's a man with a problem.
Wow.
Here's a man with a problem. You know, I guess the advice here to anyone being lured, especially in the Bahamas, come on, where the modeling jobs? So if somebody is going to tell you they are a talent scout, a model scout, or anything, they have acting jobs for you, you've got to really question that, Ellington. And perhaps it looks like teens really fall victim of this. You've got to question that because those jobs aren't necessarily in abundance in the Bahamas.
First of all, Shanique, as parents, we got to be a little more vigilant. Sometimes when we hear our young teenagers talk about these things, and initially you may think it's something good for them, I think we need to make sure, take the lead on these things and get in front of it, make sure we know who these persons are, make sure we know whether this is a legitimate agency, and so that we can protect our teens, because at that age, they're still vulnerable, they're seeking an outlet in life, they want to get out there and do things, and this is the beginning stage for them to enter into the world, and so we've got to protect them. And teenagers, you go on these Facebook, please stop following these silly, crazy, sick people. Obviously, here's a man that is sick, and we got to look at how we deal with these people.
We've got
Mental
to, because the
illness.
nothing mentally about his illness. A sexual register, for example, or must be established, because this man served time before. This is a habit for him.
And so he
cannot relate to women his own age, and so this is what he does.
We cannot just do the jail time.
Allegedly.
We got to look at dealing with these individuals in a more comprehensive way so that we can get to the bottom of these issues. For a person to serve time and come out and reoffend in the same area, it's a sick person and they need to be dealt with a little more stringent. I think the time served, when you damage young people, 11 and 10 and 14-year-old, they're damaged for life for the most part, unless they can get some real good help. But that stays with them, the pain of that. And so we've got to look at how we deal with the offenders, and it got to be a little more stiff. This is a sick guy that is hell-bent on doing what he planned that he's going to do with them.
Absolutely,
Because he doesn't have a life, going to jail for a few years, coming out and continuing in that manner. Like you said just now, that he's afraid to, or he just don't have it to approach and communicate with somebody of his age or his level, but he rather take advantage of unsuspecting young teens. And no, man, it's uncalled for. It's just despicable.
Absolutely. Well, Ellington, this got the internet talking all Saturday and Sunday. A video showing a dog being shot by a prison officer continues to spark debate across social media. And now the Bahamas Humane Society is weighing in. We get this story from Daniel Dean.
Did you see the calm and cool, swaggering way? Arm goes up, bullet diffuses, straight ahead, off we walk as if nothing has happened.
Concerned and outraged. That's how Bahamas Humane Society President Kim Arana says she felt after watching the video that appears to show a dog being shot by a prison officer. While Arana acknowledges the law requires owners to keep their dogs properly confined, she says a violation of that law does not warrant deadly force.
Yes, the dog should have been behind a fence, but you don't kill them because they weren't behind a fence. I don't shoot you if you go through a red light. I don't shoot you if you jaywalk.
Arana says any experienced dog lover can recognize animal behavior, and from what she saw in the video, the dogs were not charging at anyone and remained on their owner's property. She argues that as trained dog handlers, the officers involved should have been able to assess the situation differently.
The problem is, in the Bahamas, everybody is scared of dogs. So all a dog has to do is look at someone, they leap backwards and go, he does bite. It's insane. Anybody, I repeat, who knows anything about dogs or animals at all will tell you those dogs were not charging.
Arana also rejects the claim that the officers were acting in defense of their canine unit.
Had the service dogs that were being walked sensed any danger, they too would have reacted to a degree. Those dogs are highly trained. They're trained to sense danger. They just kept plodding along nice and peacefully.
Meanwhile, Director of Agriculture Jason Sand says the Animal Control Unit is reviewing the incident. And in a statement Sunday, Commissioner of Corrections Don Clare expressed sympathy over the incident and confirmed that an investigation is underway.
I don't trust an internal investigation because they'll protect their own people. I think there should be an independent investigation.
Arana also questioning whether officers should be walking through communities with their firearms already drawn. warning that incidents like this can erode public trust. She's now calling for a full and independent investigation, while urging authorities to consistently enforce animal control laws, not just when incidents go viral. Interviews with the officers involved were conducted Monday, and authorities say the investigation is ongoing. Danielle Teen, Eyewitness News.
Well, Ellington, that was really troubling to see. Dogs get excited when they see other dogs walking. If you walk frequently, you would see exactly what the interactions are there. And as Kim said, you would know when it's an aggressive interaction as well, because then the way they approach each other would be totally different. But the guard dogs or service dogs appeared to be,
for the most part,
they appeared. That's why I'm carefully choosing my words. They appeared to be, IB Seagull, and just walking type thing. So not necessarily riled up in response where there was going to be this happening, because we know that happens as well between dogs. But I don't know that pulling out a service weapon and just firing, where anybody could have just crossed there or tried to quickly run there and grab their dog back. Right. I don't know if that was the wisest. Maybe was it trigger happy? I mean, what was happening?
Shanique, while I observed that the service dogs were a bit perturbed, I watched as one of them start to look back and pull his rear under a bit. However, I don't think, because I've encountered situations, and I'm speaking on both sides, I've encountered situations where I saw pot cakes come out at me like that, and you just make at them and they gone. And so I don't think that the gun shooting was absolutely necessary. I await the outcome of the investigation, but I don't see where it was necessary. However, this highlights, and there's laws on the books also that govern how we have pets. Because on the other hand, we've had Bahamians and children in recent time been mauled by these animals. Yeah. Once a dog or a pit bull or a pot cake, once they chase after somebody or another animal and they sense the fear in them, they will continue to attack. They will
Absolutely.
pull off if you look bold.
Yeah, you've got to put on this act that's
right.
So brave.
Which sometimes children are not able to put on, and women are not able to put on. Adults,
you know
exactly.
What I mean? Well, speaking of Ellington, this is funny because I think the lady went right back at that scene. This was yesterday, so that happened Saturday, I imagine. Well, this was yesterday. Let's take a look, Justin.
Oh. Did you see the calm and cool, swaggering way? Arm goes up, bullet.
So we back here talking about this nasty paving. Whomever is the contractor, whomever got the contract.
Dog will die? No, she don't die.
Yes!
No, that dog die.
Yes!
No.
No, I tell you, he break free from the rope.
She break away from the rope?
Yes! Oh! Who dog says?
Hey, Marco dog.
So there you have that, right? So just as you were saying, this lady was walking there, and Justin brought this to my attention. He saw it yesterday. This lady, in fact, shared it yesterday. So let's talk about the flip side of that. And Kim is somebody who is a proponent of, listen, if you have a dog, you've got to keep that dog properly housed behind the fence and properly chained, whatever it is. But that is not happening. That's why we have such a huge stray dog problem. That woman was chased, and good thing her vehicle was there waiting for her, that she could run in there somehow. So if you didn't understand that she was first talking about the road, the state of the road, and then all of a sudden she started being chased, and you heard them saying and calling the owners of the dog who was chasing. They know the owner. The owner obviously doesn't care to be a responsible citizen, and so this is what happened.
And it happens all the time. You walk through any one of these communities, there are dogs just walking, and people refer to them as stray dogs, but normally when I'm with my guests, I drive guests along, they say, oh, these are poor doggy. I say, no, they belongs to somebody. Unfortunately, they belong and somebody had those dogs would roam around looking for food, turning people garbage over and attacking people whenever. But they goes home at the end of the day to some home. And we need to do better than this. There are laws on the book that mitigate against how you have your dog. You either have to have them tied on a leash in your yard if your yard is open, or you have to have your yard fenced in. Unfortunately, we as Bahamians do not care, and the simplest little dog that appears to be a friendly dog can go wild and attack somebody. They are dogs after all. And so we need to be more responsible. Again, I don't think the shooting of the dog was warranted. You could have waved a stick at that dog and he would have broke off running. But we need to be equally as responsible as pet owners in this country, how we handle our pets. And I think the law need to deal with that, where we go and find people having these dogs roaming about the place, making their other neighbors' lives miserable.
And people who just want to enjoy walking about or going on an early morning exercise, whatever it is they want to do, here they are, afraid for their safety.
As simple as keeping in the front of your yard clean.
Yeah.
Your dog come and turn my garbage over. You're not going to come. You know I don't have no dog. You ain't coming in the morning to fix my garbage. I have to do it every morning, and I don't have no dog.
Absolutely.
It's unfair.
And so on the flip side of that, while the officers
neighbors.
looked like they were trying to reenact an episode of Bonanza, they should not have to, while walking and patrolling wherever they were, they should not have to contend, and with their own service dogs, contend with being
they should not have to contend with that, right? Agreed.
Of an attack by stray dogs.
So it is as wide as it is long.
Yeah, it is the residents. Irresponsible, absolutely irresponsible. Well, Ellington, here's a story for you. St. John's College principal and former assistant commissioner of police, in fact, I think he even was deputy commissioner of police, Quinn McCartney, has resumed his duties following the completion of an internal investigation by the Anglican Central Education Authority. The inquiry was launched after a video surfaced. There it is. You see that? You see him? Yes, that video. That's Quinn McCartney right there. Look that right there. After McCartney was shown with his hands around the neck of a female student during the school's Mardi Gras event. The incident, captured on camera last month, prompted a 2-week investigation by the board, during which time McCartney was off duty and an acting principal oversaw the school. Sources told Eyewitness News that the female in the video was not a student of any Anglican school and that the altercation left a St. Anne's student injured. A recent letter to Eyewitness News, reportedly from associates of St. John's College, called for McCartney's removal and cited other instances where he allegedly was aggressive in his handling with a teacher. However, Eyewitness News has learned that McCartney was reportedly attempting to de-escalate confrontation involving school officials, which led to him shouting and holding back a teacher from St. John's. Insiders say the final decision on McCartney's employment will be made after a complete police probe for their portion of the investigation. There's McCartney right there. Listen, McCartney is a man who is trained in the law, who believes in law and order and authority. And I'm not saying that maybe his actions or decisions shouldn't be questioned, but you saw the mayhem where he tried to get that student, I guess, under control and out of the way.
Shanique, I saw that video and I saw some other videos that a lot of people are not even taking into account. See what you got, and I'm happy that McCartney is reinstated.
I'm happy that he is in a school campus. We need, in fact, if all principals could be former deputy commissioners of police, that'd be great.
Yes, McCartney didn't do anything to hurt that child. I think in everything that I saw in that was an attempt to restrain some of them from their behaviors. You try to stop them, and they continuously fighting. I saw further in that same video, well, in another section of it, where students were stomping another one on the ground. I mean, brutally. And Mr. McCartney, along with others, have to do whatever measures it took to restrain. And if it took holding, and I'm sure he didn't choke her to the point where she couldn't breathe. I'm sure he wasn't choking her. But if he had to do that to restrain her, I support it. I see the brutality, how these students act and how they carry on in these schools. I think parents, you need to step up to the plate. You got to do a better job that your children could feel free to go out and carry on like that. I mean, I could tell you, students plan that. You hear me? I got inside information that was planned.
They often do. They often do.
And it was said that we're going to St. John's to their Mardi Gras and we can deal with them St. John's students.
And you don't.
Another set of students planned that.
And you don't need a disciplinarian like Quinn McCartney on the campus?
Thank God he was there, because somebody, one of your children, would have been seriously hurt if he wasn't there, and others to kind of quell that. So kudos to him and others. Thank you for being there and doing a good job.
Beyond the Headlines is backward after this. Stay close. The race to 2026 is heating up, and the nation's voice is louder than ever. Here on Beyond the Headlines, we're checking the mood, the momentum, and the message of the people. I'm Shanique Miller. Each week, we're taking the temperature of the electorate to see what's really driving the nation. Who's connecting? Who's cooling off? What issues are heating up ahead of 2026? This is Temperature Check 2026, where journalism meets the nation's heartbeat.
Hey, it's time to lock in your vote.
Your vote is your power.
With the new boundaries in place, you may need to transfer or confirm your voter registration.
And if you have never registered or didn't plan to vote,
don't get left out on one of the most important decisions of your future.
Make sure when election day comes, you're ready to say,
your say, your vote, your choice.
Is turning 8 years old. 103.5 The Beat and Keep the Vibe Alive Music Group presents The Beat Fest. It's a Bahamian musical experience on March 14th at The Pond. Doors open 7 p.m. sharp. Performing live, Shine, Stevie S, Mama D, Veronica Bishop, Funky D, all backed up by The Pond Band. Hosted by Joe Cools, 1K Gaza, and Jess Mo. Music by 103.5 The Beat DJ. Tickets available now at all Beauty Shack locations. General admission, $30. VIP, $75. Get your tickets early. Spots are limited. Sponsored by Mazzari International, The Plug, and The Beauty Shack. And of course, 103.5 The Beat.
The race to 2026 is heating up. There is criticism tonight regarding the voter registration process ahead of the 2026 general election. Free National Movement candidate Senator Michaela Barnett Ellis in Killarney says, according to constituents, the long wait times for registration or simple location adjustments have been a major discouragement to completing the process. Barnett Ellis says she hopes the Parliamentary Registration Department will expand its service in Killarney, given it's one of the most populated constituencies.
So some of the feedback I'm getting with relation to voter registration is the length of time that it takes to happen. Right now, we only have 2 voter registration stations in Killarney. That's at the Cable Beach Post Office and at Gambia Primary. It looked as if they might open one in St. Paul's. That hasn't quite happened yet. So people are experiencing long wait times. There are also concerns about the geopinning, because if you're not familiar with Google Maps, sometimes it's difficult for people to locate their house on the screen. But for the most part, it has been going well. And when we've reached out to the Parliamentary Registration Department to raise those concerns, they have been very responsive in terms of helping individuals to register or to correct mistakes in terms of where they're located. I'm anxious to see how that goes. We'll have to wait and see. I know most people who are in Killarney have lived in Killarney for a long period of time and didn't necessarily have to verify or to come into contact with the Parliamentary Registration Department. So, I'm not sure how many persons have signed up for biometric cards in Killarney, given that they had their purple voters card. There was really no need for them to go and sit and wait one evening at the post office.
And my family members just today.
I'm anxious to see how I might
registered, and it's something you have to take your time and do with those who are from the Parliamentary Registrar Department in the registration process. But do you think there's a need in Killarney at this moment? Yes, Killarney is 6,000 constituents or so, but is there a need right now, before an election the date is announced, for many voting centers?
I think Michael Abana, she did mention that one is going to be open in St. Paul soon. I think what she's probably experiencing is a high turnout of people who will probably just move in the area, all rushing to do it one time. I don't necessarily think there's a need to expand so heavily and spread the registration department so thin at this early in the game. So I think it's going to taper off, and yes, a number of people who recently moved in the area may have rushing to get their voter's card, or there may be some who are trying to get their biometric card. But I think it just speaks to the fact that Killarney is all fired up and enthused and ready to go.
Killarney is one of those seats. We talked about Killarney in last week's temperature check. I'll tell you that. So Killarney is one of those seats.
And I saw
absolutely.
one of your temperature check panelists said that Killarney is confused. No, Killarney ain't confused. Killarney is really waiting until the day is called. Killarney ain't trying to get ready. Killarney ain't trying to figure nothing out. Killarney know where they are. Killarney know where they're going.
Oh, you think so?
Killarney is ready.
Okay, I tell you that. Meanwhile, Ellington, let's look at this issue right here. Applications for some business licenses are being denied, as authorities say not all entrepreneurs are seeking approval for businesses in appropriate locations. The communications manager at the Department of Inland Revenue says some applicants are having their requests rejected by the Department of Physical Planning due to zoning restrictions. He adds that both agencies are now working more closely to ensure businesses are properly placed in approved areas across the country.
And agencies are working together more often, especially physical planning. And I can tell you that every other week or every other month, there's an agenda. There's a new agenda. There's a change. 2 years ago, you could have received a physical planning approval for nail tech or hair salon. Now you can't. And they spoke to the fumes and the environment. So every month or so, there's an update. What we try to get physical planning to do and our agencies to do is to promote and educate persons. So we're getting calls every day. Oh, I was denied by physical planning. I have to call physical planning. They say, oh, there was an update. So we're working together. And that is a big thing that is happening now, specifically with liquor sales now. There's the new liquor registration. And that is now taking a toll and involves a lot of approvals all over again for persons that sell liquor, restaurants, all of the sort, right? And that has actually put responsibility on the Department of Inland Revenue more than physical planning now, because as simple as owning something that sells liquor 700 feet from a school or church should not be allowed. So when you're applying for that, that is something that's going to be considered. And when you're trying to get your renewal, it is now something that is considered. And you will not receive your renewal if you do not have the liquor registration. And when you're applying for a new one, selling liquor, we ask that you do it 90 days in advance before your intended start date. The process is now changed.
And you know, it's good to see this. I remember being a reporter and saying that Nassau was just allowed to just happen.
Yeah.
It just, if you dream it right there and you figure right there, that's why I'm gonna put a liquor license, a house, then after that it's gonna be the place of worship, and that's what Nassau was. So how do you now reel and call back these cars of this train that's already left the station? I mean, how can you now, people have been in business for all these years, and mind you, they know it's wrong because there's a school there, there's somebody living there, there are kids and all this stuff, but the point is it's been allowed. And so how are you impacting people's businesses? Are they to go and pick those businesses up and put them elsewhere?
It's been a long time coming, and we've just neglected proper zoning over the years. And I must say kudos to the department for finally stepping up to the plate and saying, hey, you can't put this in, you can't put that there, because it seems like every time a closed store closed down, we put a liquor in it. A church, I've seen those cases where there were church is now liquor store. And so, yeah, we cannot just be doing these things arbitrarily. We got to build our constituencies and build our island with proper zoning. And so I'm happy that they're doing it. It's going to be a challenge as to how they deal with those pre-existing locations where people in some cases have constructed buildings that house their liquor establishment or restaurant, whatever it is, near a school or near a church or within a community where it should not be. Because we've had communities that have pushed back many years when they try to open some liquor stores or some gaming or other places near to their residential areas. They've pushed back and they were successful in it. And so finally, I must say kudos to the Inland Revenue for this push that they're now dealing with to properly zone and organize our communities and our school zones and where the church and stuff like that. You don't need no liquor store across the road, people brawling and church service going on across the street. That's not who we are. That's not who we used to be. And so let's return to our values, our core values that made us Bahamian, that stood out in the world.
I am all for that, Ellington. I applaud it as well, but I certainly want to hear from those business owners, because if you didn't allow it, you know, who wasn't working? Who wasn't working some years ago? Who decided? Who woke up recently and said, you know what, let's start actually zoning Nassau? Who did that? Who exactly?
It's going to be a challenge.
Yeah, I know Michael Turnquest he is quite heated about this. Certainly looking forward to hearing from him later this week on this initiative, which is a good one, but looking forward to hearing from him. Ellington, I thank you so much. You were incredible tonight.
Hey.
Really super. And I want to say thank you. I want to say a huge thank you to all of you for tuning in this evening. It's certainly been awesome having you hang out with us here on Beyond the Headlines. Looking forward to seeing you right back here tomorrow evening. For the entire Beyond the Headlines team, I'm Shanique Miller. Make it a great evening, everyone.